Warriors Unite! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 in the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing wonderful. Hope you guys are conquesting yourselves as usual, conquesting things around you, and allowing you to kind of follow God's purposes for your life, and thereby feeling calm, relaxed, feeling powerful, strength with all that power you have, with the most important thing, and that's keeping your energy as long as you can, any way you can, except for one thing, and that's procreation. So as we look at this, my friends, we're going to do a topic today called controlling yourself, your semen retention. And controlling your semen retention goes into a lot of aspects. We have a lot of questions here, so we're going to kind of go into these. Let's do some shout outs real fast here. First, Jennings, thank you. He's talking about church and chakras. We're going to get into that a little bit. Chakras are very important, I think, in understanding the process a little bit. Glory Mentality, doing a podcast. Yeah, I'm going to try to do one. I know I keep saying that. This summer, I'm going to kind of make it a high priority to try to do that. Tobe Von Heirseele, thank you, my friend. I always kind of say that last name wrong, but I appreciate it. Yisrael Yehuddah, thank you, my friend. True Images, Jon the Dawn, a lot of our classic people always commenting. I appreciate that a great deal, guys. I appreciate you guys a great deal. Justin Greene, Light in the Dark, yeah, TKO, thank you, guys. Mario, Chris Snoop, thank you. Brother Boldly, Official Music, twice, thank you. Brett Adam Musick, Jordon Carlin, twice. God's Gladiator, and Players /144. Thank you guys very much for your comments. It is greatly appreciated. All right, so our topic this morning is going to talk about controlling semen retention. So there's a lot of topics here. For instance, Al, Yexx, Christian, Duchas talked about flatlining. We'll talk about that a little bit. NAR 1992 talked about how long to get your benefits. What happens after 6 months? Tor talked about that. What dreams do you have about semen retention? Just me. Release why while you sleep. Redadore had that kind of comment. So we're going to kind of talk about this a little bit. So at a 2.5 minute mark, we're going to talk about the idea of how to control retention. Now, we know that as we talked about this, it's important to kind of focus on why we're doing this. We're doing this to become a high value male, to follow God's purposes, to do the best we can become, like we talk about. You're trying to improve yourself 1% each time. And as you do that, you're going to get it better and better. And the world around you will get better because you're becoming more in control of the things you can control. You can't control everything around you. You can only control your reaction to it. And one of the key reactions to it is to continue to get better each day. And whereas one of the ways to get better is to control the most important things that become important to you. So we talk about sex, we talk about the sexual power, we talk about the idea of eating and, artificial means to help you get better. It all starts back with that sexual energy you have. And we talk about that in terms of semen retention, but you could talk about sexual energy. You can use it any type of term you want to use here. But the bottom line is that I believe there's a direct relationship between health and benefits and success and how well you use, control, and you use that sexual energy you have and transmute it to make sure that you're achieving a lot of things. So the whole key, my friends, is to be able to control this, to do this. Now, we'll talk about a lot of aspects under this category. But let's kind of look at first, what is the key we're talking about here? We're talking about controlling your retention, your semen retention. You're talking about controlling your sexual energy. You're doing this by transmuting into other things. We've talked about ways to do this in which what you're trying to do is get your mind off of, women, images of women, thinking about women, doing those type of things, and getting those on goals, things you want to achieve. This is why I'm busy nonstop. One of the ways I overcame a lot of that stuff was to try to make sure I'm always busy. But I also, because of the benefits of semen retention, you have a lot of energy. So you can do a lot more things. And now that plays right into the idea of not trying to concentrate on images, spending time in front of the computer, spending time in front of the TV set. You're getting away from all that. And so what you're trying to do is achieve your goals to become the best person you can become. So today, working around the house on a weekend, it's a Saturday, working around the house, trying to do the bar chips and all kinds of stuff around the yard, and just trying to continue to do things that I have on my list. And I always set up a list of goals every morning to try to get away from this idea of even thinking about women or anything like that. Now, so we talk about this stuff. Let's talk about this more in terms of the key thing that I think is important. Now, because of my past history, I went into NoFap a few years ago. It's been almost 1,300 days or something like that, probably around 3 years, close to 3 years. And because of that, I've had some great success, just like I had with Kellner's Fountain of Youth stuff back in 1998, up until about 3 or 4 years ago. But until I went into the sixth rite, I didn't realize how much better it would become. And I've had a dramatic change since then. And the same thing I could say in talking about the types of mode. NoFap is wonderful. You got to start somewhere. And that's what I recommend you starting with. But in the long run, what you really want to do is you want to focus on what I call the monk mode. And the monk mode is basically trying to get you to the point where you're not even thinking about women. And even if you're reacting, if it's a natural thing you're reacting to, like a habit thing or a wet dream, you are basically still moving forward, not letting it bother you. Now, we talk about these type of things, and we talk about, well, what is really monk mode? So the first question is, what is monk mode? So monk mode basically is that you got no porn, no erotic images, no masturbation, of course, no lust, none of those type of things you're focusing on as important. You tend to look at women more at like your mother, sisters, things like that, daughters, or you tend to look at them in like bones and just beings there. You're not trying to worship them. Part of the problem we have with our men in our society is that we're taught and brainwashed and some instinctively innate type behaviors that we should be worshiping the figure of the female. Well, that's not really the case. You should not be doing that. Now, we do that for many, many reasons, and we don't need to go into all of these right here. But the idea is you should be focusing on you. You're the person who is the strong person. You're the one that can stop wars. You're the ones that create things, and you're the powerful one. You have that semen in you. And women are wonderful as well, but they're wonderful in different ways. And the way you're wonderful is you're keeping the power of being that masculine man, and you have that masculinity you need to have. And I know nowadays they talk about all this toxic masculinity, that things, and I'm not talking about people who are boasting. I'm talking about people who really have the masculinity. And women know this. They're not gonna sugarcoat that. They may even get upset with you at times and not talk with you, but they realize they respect you. Respect is a key thing. Women respects you. That's a key thing. They can tell you have masculinity, and you can tell by the way they talk to you, they address you, they work with you. They know that you're a powerful man, and they know that they should be messing with you. A lot of women tend to do this because they try to figure out and test and see what kind of man you are. And it's their own benefit because they're trying to figure out, are they safe with this male? Is this male going to protect them and provide for them and those type of things? So that's important to know as you focus on this. So monk mode basically is kind of having no lust, no thinking about this. This is not easy. I've been struggling with this myself. I go back and forth on it myself. I'm on a new streak of a few days, but it's a different than the NoFap. The monk mode is basically having no thoughts at all. And because I've been blessed with this from God, this sexual energy, I have to be really careful with that monk mode. So I'm getting better with it, little by little. I'm getting better. My streak's one more day than I did the last time. But it's still something that you have to keep work on. So that's my goal. My goal is going up there in monk mode, trying to do that. Now, you also need to transmute it. You can't just sit there and let it sit there. So that's why it has to be sitting there. So the question that Tor, Al, Yexx, Christian, Duchas talking about flatlining. Flatlining is a term that we use when we're talking about the energy level tends not to keep increasing. And at some point, that's going to happen. It's happened to me a few different ways over time, over the last 3 years. But what you're going to see happen is that you have to kind of increase your desire, your dedication, and eventually you'll see benefits again. Now, flatlining is something that happens because you're at a different mode. You're kind of increasing, but then you're not seeing those big jumps. Doesn't mean you're still not jumping. You're not having the benefits. You're just kind of in that same mode. And so it's almost like something like, well, if I have success, the next time I have success, I'm not going to be, it may not, the same success, I may not recognize it as much. So you may not even realize you're still getting the benefits. But you can also increase this when you get to flatlining. And when you get to flatlining, that means your desire is greater. So that means you work a little bit harder. You try to keep pushing yourself, and you'll see benefits again. And you notice those benefits. But you're not going to have the same increase proportionally in benefits like you did when you started, because you were so far the other way. I was 47 years in the bad way. It took, and I saw dramatic increases as time went on, but I had 47 years of this. So you're not going to see, as time goes on, you're not going to see that great increase of benefits anymore. But what you're going to see is you're going to continue to benefit as long as you continue to better yourself each day. And it's motivated by the self-control, self-confidence type of thing you're getting through retention and things like that. So I would not worry about flatlining. You just have to keep working on the program, keep working on the idea that you need to keep your retention, keep your energy as long as you can, but transmute it. Don't allow emotional, sometimes it's stress, sometimes those things can affect you as well. You don't want to talk about emotional energy loss or physical energy loss. You want to kind of focus on being that strong, calm person that you can actually go ahead and achieve your goals and become high value. So flatlining is something that does happen, but you got to keep evolving. And as you keep evolving, you're going to see benefits. They're not going to be as great as when you first start, of course, but you're going to see those because that you're still doing the same thing. Now, if you go back and obviously release and then go back again, you're going to go back and forth like the yo-yo I was with 47 years, and you're going to see some mild success, but then you're going to go back again. So you got to keep on the program to keep battling this. This is why we call battling on all the time. Keep battling on. How long to get benefits? I think, this depends on how long you had problems before you started this. If you're a young person in your 20s and you didn't have a long history of this before, you're probably going to see dramatic benefits a lot earlier. In my case, it took a couple years. I mean, I'm at year 3 now, and now I'm finally seeing the muscle build again, even at 63 years old, which I'll be in another month or so. Now I'm finally seeing all that stuff starting to happen, but it took several years because I had so many years of, I call self-abuse, right? So many years of that basically you have to go back and kind of repair yourself, regenerate yourself. And so it's going to take some time. So the question answering your question is, it depends on how long you were in a bad situation where you were releasing. If you're depleting all your energy for 15 years, well, it's going to take you a little time, maybe a couple years, to actually kind of start seeing some of the benefits again. But you can do it. At any age, you can do it. Doesn't make a difference. You can see my results. I was 58, 59 years old. I can't exactly remember what it was in between there somewhere. And now, I'm finally seeing the benefits, but it took, now a couple, 2-3 years later. And so you see those benefits, but I had all those years of issues with them. What happens after 6 months? Well, you should see an increase. Now, depending again where you're at, you can see an increase of your benefits as time goes on. So it takes 21 days to build a habit of this. As you're building this habit, you're going to see more and more benefits as time goes on. You'll see different benefits. You may not see the great increases we talked about before, but you're going to see those benefits. Because as time goes on, you're becoming stronger and stronger, more confident, more of a great person within yourself. And that's going to show outwardly as well as within yourself. And so it will take some time. After 6 months, you should start seeing some benefits that are different than what you had initially. But don't stop just because you're not seeing exactly what you want. Each one of us is different. Each one of us had different levels of mistakes we've made, and now we're going back to it. So, it's going to take some time. But in my opinion, my humble opinion, I'm a humble servant, guys, to all you guys, It is the most important thing in the world to control your sexual energy. That's it. All the research, everything I've done over the years, going back to Think and Grow Rich with Napoleon Hill, and talking about Kedler stuff, talking about all the years of research I had in communications and things like that, I can tell you that it goes all the way back, and completing, a doctorate, a master's degree, things like that. It goes back to how you use your sexual energy. I didn't realize any of this for a long, long time, but I do realize it now, and I think it's important. If you look at all the species, the same thing happens, right? The males have that energy. Now, unfortunately, when they reproduce, a lot of them get killed pretty quickly. So, that's something to think about as you're doing this. Once again, procreating is okay. You're moving a generation on, but also remember the toll attacks on you. If you're doing it just regular for pleasure, you're killing yourself, basically, which I didn't realize for many, many years. And who dreams about during retention? Well, again, when you talk about releasing when you're sleeping, Redadore and Just Me asked this question. I don't believe that should count. And once again, let me say this. This is a lifestyle change. I only tell you how many days every so often, and I used to do shows on it every time I did 500 or 1,000. I quit doing that because it's really a lifestyle change. And as you do a lifestyle change, you're basically just you're doing this forever, which is what I'm going to do forever. Now, I may go back and have relapses and things like that, but I'm going to do this forever because this is the way, to me, that success is in life. And this is the way life should be lived. But you're going to have times where you're going to have problems, and you may be releasing when you're sleeping. When I was younger, I did that. Now, I don't necessarily count that. I think it's the evil one, necessarily kind of keeping that ideas in your brain, and you keep thinking about this because this is how you get excited. The memory that you're in there, it takes a long time. It's cleansing. It's almost like an alcoholic. It's almost like someone who's a drug addict. You got to cleanse the system out. And that takes time. That's not going to be overnight. But the fact that you're not trying to release, the fact that you're not trying to watch images, the fact you're not trying to pick up women, the fact you're not trying to chase women, gives you a chance to cleanse sooner. I'm not perfect. I can tell you that by monk mode. That's something that I'm working with. But the idea that you keep trying is what's important. So I don't count it against you, but again, I don't count anything against you at this point because I think it's a lifestyle change. You've made that choice already. As long as you stick with it, you don't fall back into patterns. The bad thing about the reason why people keep streaks is basically because they don't want to fall back into a bad pattern. And I agree with that 100%. So that's kind of why I still keep an eye on it, especially with monk mode. Now, monk mode, I still keep track of because the monk mode to me is something that I'm struggling with at times. So I have to keep track of the monk mode. But we're only talking about monk mode. We're not talking about no-fap and that sort of thing. We're not talking about releasing. We're talking about thinking. Thinking is different. The thinking part of it, as God says, is that you don't want and I keep saying this philosophy, but it's really very true in my mind. The birds will fly over your head, but just don't let them make a nest in your head. The same thing with temptation. So this is what I battle with to try to get monk mode and use monk mode. And a lot of you guys are using monk mode. That's wonderful. Keep it up. That's an area that I'm struggling with to try to make sure that I'm consistent with that over time. It will happen. I'm getting better and better each time a streak happens. But don't give up. The bottom line is that even if you release at night, keep on the plan. Because I have seen great benefits. Lots of people have. You're seeing a lot more videos on it, a lot of things up there. Maybe it's just me noticing it more. But you're seeing a lot more people talking about it. Because you're going back to things that have been around for thousands of years. Go back to Pythagoras. Go back to the Hellenistic age and going back to the ones of time. Even the Romans and Greeks, there's people who did this. Right? Yeah, there was a lot of lascivious behaviors which destroyed a lot of these dynasties in the long run because they lost their whole idea through loss of sexual energy. But there's still a lot of people during those periods of time that flourished, did well, and succeeded because they kept their energy, and you can probably see them. And by the way, I am going to talk about one of these times. I'm going to talk about a group of people, and I may just even break it down into sets of people who have practiced, like Beethoven, Tesla. There's lots of people who actually have practiced over the years. Edison and Einstein have practiced semen retention. They understand what that is, and they understand they used it for the benefit. And they were too wrapped up into their purpose and cause to even think about having any kind of release of energy. That's the last thing on their mind, which is why they become so successful. Mike Tyson for years did that when he was boxing, when he was on top of his game. He didn't do it for a long time until he started releasing. And then, of course, since ironically he lost, once he started doing that, well, again, you're losing your energy. And I think this is something that we're not taught in our society, and shame on our society for doing that. But again, the evil one's taken hold, and we have to make sure that we continue to fight this and teach our young people the right way. And this is one of the reasons I'm trying to give back to the community of large, in this case, in my own special communities that I'm in, to try to give back because people have given to me. And now that I have a little knowledge, I'm trying to share. Take it for what it is and see what you can do with it. All right, again, thank you guys so much for your comments. I love it. It was great. A great topic this one is. I think the next one we're going to talk about is spiritual awakening more, kind of looking at things like the church and chakras, John comment, angelic numbers, yin and yang, and things like that. We'll talk about that the next time. All right, my friends, until next time, hope you guys, 2 things. 1, have a wonderful, great day. And remember, every day is a new day to a great warrior. And number 2, guys, because of what we just talked about, we have to continue to battle on! God bless you guys. Have a great day.